ChampionSalonandBarber.com.
All right, top 5 names you may recognize on day one. This is just day one of the USFL draft. By the time I did this list,
I screwed this up for you. I apologize.
No, you didn't. You did not. Only just one name.
Okay. All right.
So I think we might have mentioned a couple others kind of in passing, but people come and go throughout the show.
And we had 2 of the players drafted from Baylor, Jamison Houston, and then, of course, Tulsa quarterback Zach Smith.
Yeah. Number 5, Jordan Taamu from Ole Miss, the CFL, the XFL, and other places, but he's going to be probably the starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Bandits, who, by the way, the original Tampa Bay Bandits were named after who?
The Buccaneers?
Burt Reynolds, I'm guessing.
That's right, Burt Reynolds, part owner of the team.
I actually like that name a lot, Tampa Bay Bandits.
I do too. I think I was going to say, there's like 5 or 6 of the names out of the A. Did you ever hug him, kiss him, shake his hand?
My senior year, my last game, I was not what you would call
you were inebriated.
Sober. Yeah. And I was walking up, and his limo pulled out about 30 feet from us, and he got out and walked into the suites, and I yelled, "Bert!" like that. And then he went like that.
Did you pee down your leg when he pointed at you?
It was the best moment of my life.
All right, okay.
I mean, so that was our only.
This is a nice enough player. Unfortunately, he's like your number 2 overall pick.
Yeah.
And so going back to what I said earlier, with no disrespect towards these guys, you got to have some star power somewhere to really pull in fans and get them invested. So I'm curious how all these leagues, including the Rocks XFL, when that relaunches next year, I'm curious how they're going to do that, because I don't think Johnny Manziel gets it done these days.
No.
And he clearly didn't, even when he was still somewhat of a name, and he's no longer really a name at all. But hopefully the brand of football is good. That'll help as well. But the star power is my big concern.
Yeah. Number 4, Shea Patterson, quarterback, Michigan Panthers. There are 2, actually, Michigan Panthers quarterbacks. He was the first one of the Michigan Panthers quarterbacks taken. Ole Miss, and, of course, transfer to Michigan. Shea Patterson is maybe responsible now more than any other player for the one-time transfer rule. His lawsuit is the one that kind of tipped the scales, and once he won, now – it's changed because Ole Miss had a very scandalous coach get fired, and Shea Patterson was like, "Well, I don't want to be here and play under sanctions, so I'd like to transfer." And the NCAA lost that suit, and Shea Patterson off to Michigan. So,
all right,
yeah,
he was the number 1 overall pick.
I believe he was, yeah.
Yeah, he was. Taamu was number 2. But, Patterson was never quite the player that he was billed to be as a recruit. So just chapter 1,000 in that book of guys who were overblown, or maybe a little bit too hyped up. He's a fine player. He was never, it's kind of like what Quinn Ewers could be, but, time will tell. But what certainly Tate Martell and those types of guys. Yeah. He's not that bad, but, there was a lot of hype for him.
I'll tell you where he messed up. At Ole Miss, he was a quarterback who wore a number in the 20s. When he went to Michigan, he switched to number 2. He should have kept in the 20s. Mm-hmm. He kind of, cut off his uniqueness there. Number 3, former Texas wide receiver Brennan Eagles.
Yep.
Is on his way to the Philadelphia Stars. He was a guy who I thought might stick in the NFL a little bit longer just based on his hands, but he might be one of the more preeminent wide receivers in the league.
Yeah, he was with the Cowboys for a little while, wasn't he?
For a minute,
cup of tea or something like that.
6'4", 220.
Yeah, I mean, he was a 5 or at least a high 4-star type of guy from what I remember. I know he was definitely a 4-star, super athlete with great size. I don't know if he ever really became the great receiver, at Texas that maybe some people thought he would be, but good player, and I'm sure he'll do well and probably be one of the better players in that league, I would think or hope.
Yeah. Number 2, Devonte Turpin, former TCU, kind of all over the place guy who was removed from the team after getting in trouble, and then Gary Patterson and his coaching staff having to do some bogus stuff and lie about it, which I believe Devonte Turpin was one of the first check marks in the box of Gary's got to go. From the TCU administration because of the way he handled it. But he is a guy who has tremendous athletic ability. He can make a lot of different kind of plays. And it'll be interesting to see if he's still got it because it's been a couple years since he's played.
Yeah, I don't think Gary ever wants anybody to really go and do a deep dive of just how many players got in trouble while he was taking shots at that school down south. I think he had plenty of his own problems, and he was very fortunate that just the school he was happened to be biggest rivals with had more problems. That kind of clouded what was actually going on. But Turpin's a freak athlete. I mean, dude just got in trouble. He beat up his girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
That was the deal, and so, that's obviously no bueno. But, as far as a football player goes, tremendous athlete and super speedster, and I'm sure he'll be solid.
Who would have been – obviously, I know Jalen Reagor is in the NFL, and he beat Baylor basically by himself one time. Who would have been better at the end of their careers? Would have been still Reagor over Turpin?
I think Reagor was a little better than Turpin.
He's really good. All right.
By the way, but your analysis, Craig, was like LA is able to be like, at least we're not San Francisco right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. Number one, former first-round draft pick who cried at a Wingstop when he got drafted, Paxton Lynch, is also with the Michigan Panthers.
Yeah, so somebody in your top 5 is going to lose out on a starting job, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt kind of bad for Paxton Lynch last night when I was just Googling through to try to find if there's any Baylor action in the draft, which there was with a couple of players, and now a couple of players more today being selected. But first headline I saw was historic draft bust, Paxton Lynch drafted by USFL. And I was like, yep, that's just pretty much who you are right now and who you're going to be unless you turn into a star in the USFL, I guess. But, yeah, I mean, he was nearly a Cowboy. He was nearly they could have drafted him over Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott now has, $150 million or whatever it is, and Paxton Lynch is the backup quarterback right now.
And that wasn't
for the Michigan Panthers.
And that wasn't to give credit to the Cowboys by design. That was total. People say luck doesn't exist. I do agree that most of the time luck is just the work you had put in prior. That was absolutely luck. That was pure luck that Paxton Lynch got taken and that they end up drafting Dak Prescott.
They were trying to trade back in to get him.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Great stuff, Paul. Craig, tomorrow with Off the Radar. For all of